Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. You're here with us every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. live. And the rest of the week, as you access our Facebook page, our YouTube page, or just our website, thebibleforum.net, there's a video there, and it runs this last week's stuff. I have an article I've entitled, But Then Who Am I? This comes from a website called studyfinds.org. It reads, I am nobody. I hold no public office. I'm not a movie star. I have no degree in psychology, and I don't teach at a prestigious university. But I sit here, year after year, periodically warning you about the psychological community. I've been doing this since January of the year 2000. 15 years on the radio in Wilmington, North Carolina. Of those 15 years, 10 of them online video. The other years earlier, we just did audio. Coming up on 20 years altogether. And still, many of you scoff. I know you do. I get mail. But here's a study published in the prestigious scientific journal Psychiatry Research that found exactly what I've been saying to you all these years. The article comes from Liverpool, England. It reads, no two people are exactly alike. Therefore, attempting to classify each unique individual's mental health issues into neat categories doesn't work. That's the claim. Comes out of the United Kingdom. It's going to ruffle some psychologists and psychiatrists' feathers. More people are being diagnosed with what are called mental illnesses today than ever before. And multiple factors contribute to this increase, not the least of which is people blaming the popularity of social media and all this increased screen time, whatever it might be. But it's also worth considering that in today's age, more people may be willing to admit they're having mental health issues than they did, say, in 1950. Whatever the reason, it is generally believed that a psychiatric diagnosis is the first step to recovery. That's why a new study conducted at the University of Liverpool has raised the eyebrows of a lot of people by concluding that psychiatric diagnoses are, quote, scientifically meaningless. End of quote. They are worthless as tools to accurately identify and address mental distress at the individual level. Researchers performed a detailed analysis on 5 of the most important chapters in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. They call it the DSM. We're up to DSM-7. I forgot how high the numbers go now. The DSM is considered the definitive guide for mental health professionals and provides descriptions for all kinds of mental health problems along with their symptoms. The book is like this. The 5 chapters being analyzed were bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, depressive disorders of all sorts, anxiety disorders, and trauma-related disorders. Now, you may not know it, but that's the heart of the psychiatric community. The researchers came to a number of conclusions. First, the study's authors assert that there is a significant amount of overlap in symptoms between disorder diagnoses, despite the fact that each diagnosis utilizes different decision rules. That may be gobbledygook to you, But what they're saying is that all of this is a ball of wax. It's not clear-cut individual things. They all kind of fall in amongst themselves. Additionally, they found these diagnoses completely ignore the role of trauma. This person is having this problem. They got hit in the head. But they didn't tell you that, and they didn't remember that falling off the house or, whatever it might be. And they're diagnosing mental disorders, and it's a physical thing. Perhaps most concerning of all, researchers say that these diagnoses tell us very little, their words, little to nothing, about the individual patient and what type of treatments that person is going to need. The diagnosis tells nothing. The authors ultimately concluded that this diagnostic labeling approach is, quote, a disingenuous categorical system. They're putting you into pigeonholes through their opinion. And it's disingenuous. It isn't real. They write, quote, although diagnostic labels create the illusion of an explanation, they are scientifically meaningless and can create stigma and prejudice. Now, their hope is that these findings will encourage mental health professionals to think beyond diagnosis and consider other explanations of mental distress, things like trauma or adverse life experiences, something going on in their life now. Lead researcher Dr. Kate Alsop explains in a release, saying, according to the study's authors, the traditional diagnostic system being used today wrongly assumes that any and all mental distress is caused by a disorder and relies far too heavily on subjective ideas about what is considered normal. Professor John Reed commented, perhaps it's time we stop pretending that medical-sounding labels contribute anything to our understanding of the complex causes of human distress or of what kind of help we need when distressed. The study was published in the scientific journal Psychiatry Research. It isn't something you can just push aside and say, well, that's those crazy liberals or Christians or, a small group of people over here that just don't agree with it. This is mainstream stuff. And they're telling you that for 100 years, the psychiatric community has been deceiving you. They don't know as much as they claim to know. They're misdiagnosing, they're losing touch, they're missing stuff, and even some of the things that they think they know, apparently they don't. It isn't real. It's taken all this time for them to write a book to explain it to you. I told you this 20 years ago. But I don't have a doctor in front of my name, so I don't know nothing. It's an amazing world.